So hello and welcome to Daily Politics, reaching you from Trust TV here in Abuja. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. My name is Suleiman Suleiman. Tonight, we ask a simple but very important question. Can the third parties change the game in the 2023 elections? Well, we'll soon find out. Nigeria has 18 registered political parties. Nearly all of these parties field candidates during general elections at presidential, National Assembly, governorship, state legislative houses, and all others. However, only a handful of these have any representation in the National Assembly, arising in particular from the 2019 general elections. But as we move towards the 2023 elections, the third parties appear to be kicking and puffing in the political space. The new Nigerian People's Party, the NNPP, for example, is gaining momentum across the country, particularly in the northern states like Kano, Kaduna, and Jigawa. The People's Redemption Party, the PRP, has also been visible in the political space of late. The son of the late Chief MKO Abiola, the winner of the 1993 election, that is Chief Kola Abiola, has since joined the party and is one of the party's presidential aspirants. And then again, there is the Social Democratic Party, the SDP, which also appears to be making inroads in the south. And all in all, APGA remains there with the Anambra governorship seat. But the question is, will the third parties disappear again after election day? Can they change the game for Nigeria and Nigerians? Indeed, what can they do different? With me in the studio to discuss these issues is Mr. Babatunde Ali, the National Secretary of the People's Redemption Party, and Malan Ilyas Ugadu, a columnist and public affairs analyst. You're both welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yes, I should have added that Malan Ilyas is also a senatorial aspirant of Taraba South senatorial district in the PRP as well.
Thank you.
But before we go into the discussions proper, give us a minute. We take a break. When we return, we will continue. Welcome back. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and we're discussing what the third parties can do to change the political game in next year's elections. I have with me members of one of the third parties, the PRP. So the Secretary General of the party, that's the National Secretary of the People's Redemption Party. You know, maybe I should start the first question. How prepared are you to do beyond what you did in 2019, in 2011, in 2015, and so on and so forth? You know, how prepared are you to do something different beyond what you have always done in elections in Nigeria since 1999?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and guests at home. We'd like to appreciate you. In the People's Redemption Party, just immediately after the 2019 election, like you said in your introductory opening, where you have this tradition, immediately after election, parties go to sleep. Yes. In the People's Redemption Party, it's not like that. Immediately after the 2019 election, the leaders of the PRP came together, appraised the election of 2019, and we rolled out the program of the party for the next 1 year. And from 2019 to 2022, barring the COVID problem and everything, we rolled out a program of activities of the PRP that then ran from 2020 to 2021, dovetailing into 2022. And that started with the membership drive. Every member of the PRP, both old and would-be members were asked to go and revalidate their membership. Those coming on board should register. The party also went ahead to launch a website, the first of its kind in Nigeria to register online. You can register in the comfort of your bedroom. You can register wherever you are. Even if you are abroad and your mind is at home with the politics of your country, you can go ahead because the constitution of the PRP provides for it. You can register anywhere in the world. And we also made available provisions for people to register at their ward level. And that took us from membership registration, the space of 3 months, quarterly program, leading to the ward congresses of the PRP. We've had that. We've had the local government congresses. We've had the state congresses, everything ending by November 2021. Every state executives of PRP that was in place prior to that were dissolved, and the new came on board. Everything culminated in the National Convention of 2nd April 2022. PRP since 2019 has been on the move, preparing itself for this election, and we know by the grace of God, it's going to be different this time around.
He said the PRP is on the move, but some people are thinking that you cannot be on the move by re-electing the same national ESCO, you know, the National Working Committee by the chairman and so on and so on, that maybe you need a new blood to breathe new vision into the party and so on.
Yeah, well, I'll have you understand that, well, you know, when you have a winning team, you don't change a winning team.
Okay.
I mean, he's just enumerated to you how the party has been, you know, reforming, restructuring itself. Looking at the lessons of the 2019 elections, it went down again to look at, you know, to review a lot of things and then to put in place programs that would make the party ready, ever ready, to do its duty. And then there are people who have been doing this. There are people who have been doing this, and, you know, it's not going to change your team in the middle of, you know, a successful story. Okay. So that's why, you know, one of the most important reasons why the ESCO was retained, because they have done a good job, and because in anticipation of a very serious, you know, electioneering campaign coming up, we need to have them on ground so that they can direct. That's not to say that it was a process that was railroaded and denied. There was, of course, there was a democratic, you know, process that was, you know, adhered to. Okay. But the overwhelming feeling is that the people who have brought us this far successfully should be retained, and that's what you saw.
Interesting. So, Mr. National Secretary, one of the issues is you're talking about a success story, retaining a winning team. For a political party, the only thing that can be called winning is to actually win the election, or win elections, you know, as in this case, you know. So the PRP doesn't have a representation now in the National Assembly.
We do.
Okay.
Oh, we do.
You had one person from Bauchi who was decamped.
Who has decamped? Wherever he went to, but we will get our mandate.
Okay.
We've gone to court.
Okay,
we will get our mandate, and may I also add that it's not as if the old executive was railroaded or they just pushed things to put themselves back into office. PRP have much more spread in the executive, or in the national executive now than it ever used to be. Okay. There are new people that were brought on board. The constitution of the party has been amended to allow for the ESCO to be expanded from across all the 5 levels of the party, and more people are on board. Some members of the ESCO had gone, some had been appointed into something else, some had moved into other part of the party for 1 or 2 other things, and some, the process just did not favor them. For example, a state in the PRP cannot produce 2 national officers. So where it has happened before, all those things had been taken care of. The party has prepared itself for the next election. As to not having people, we have. Okay. We still have a member was at the National Convention. In fact, he prayed the opening prayer. The Honorable Abkadri, he prayed the opening prayer at the National Convention. So we actually have our presence at the National Convention.
That's all right. Beyond the National Convention, You know, what about
I mean,
plans?
in the National Assembly, please.
Okay, that's fine. Beyond the convention or one member, because it's a 360-member assembly anyway, and you have one, you know. So which is better than zero anyway, but it also states where the party is at the moment in terms of elective representation in the country. So we have been hearing about these new parties, third parties, alternative parties, you know. You don't like the term small parties and all that. How is, to what extent is PRP, you know, prepared to make a difference this time around? And beyond an online registration and so on, what other things are you really doing that is on ground, you know, because anyone familiar with the history of PRP would say that the idea of online registration, though revolutionary, if you like, for a political party, but some people will also accuse it as being elitist at the same time, in the sense that in order to have, you need to have a mobile, you have to have data, you have to have internet literacy, you have to have all these skills and opportunities to be able to register online. And PRP is known as a party of the downtrodden, you know. So how isn't there a kind of contradiction right there and then?
The challenge is,
yes,
I won't really call it a challenge. You have a youth demography that forms bulk of the electorate in Nigeria, over 70%. And when you have a youth voting range, you cannot be talking about party membership that does not belong, that does not bring on board the element of technology.
Okay.
That is why that one is there. As to what PRP is doing, PRP is preparing. I like to let you know this. But for what we've been having in our electoral system, here and there, PRP won 5 reps in the 2019 election. And there were issues here and there. You may also have, you likely will be aware of what happened when they did the recounting of Benue State governorship election.
Yes.
And everybody was surprised at the vote that PRP came up with, only that PRP was not at the tribunal when the case went there. Otherwise, maybe Benue would have gone to the People's Redemption Party. Okay. They just concluded by-election at Jos Basa federal constituency. PRP beat both APC and PDP put together in that election. But for just one local government, they kept that result, and then for 48 hours or thereabout, they're just picking it up, and we are in court, and we are going to get our mandate back. It does not matter whether election is overtaking it or not, we're in court on that. And that alone is a test for you what the preparation of PRP has been, and it's a party to beat in the next election. We have prepared ourselves, and our members are ready.
Thank you. It's so nice that we have one person here who is actually standing on the platform of the PRP for an election. You know, so one of the issues that people are raising, considering this exorbitant cost of nomination forms, that even the parties that say they are third parties or alternative parties, parties that, frankly speaking, do not even have much platform, election-winning platforms already in the country, are also charging exorbitant fees. You know, that, for example, in the PRP, to be elected president, you need to buy nomination forms for 10 million naira. Isn't this monetization of politics, which, for those familiar, again, with PRP's credos, that it goes against the idea of, I don't know what Mala Aminu Kano will be thinking now that his own party, the presidential nomination forms, is now selling for 10 million naira.
No, I think rather what you have to look at, compare what PRP is asking its aspirants to pay and what the other parties are asking the aspirants to pay. PRP is asking for presidential aspirants to pay 10 million naira. While some other parties are asking for 100 million naira. Now, that's the difference between daylight and darkness. And in the case of PRP, you know very well that its trying to, raise finances, to try to see how we could. Some of the things that the National Secretary has said are very expensive things, and we don't have any other means of raising revenue, and this is just a way of the aspirants appreciating and helping the party to move along, to be able to meet some of these, requirements that are very necessary for it. For instance, he talked about online registration. This costs money. He talks about somebody has to, maintain the base. He talks about, forms. He talks about that. And in a party that more or less doesn't have big wigs or what do you call them, these are the things that it does to raise money. It's actually, if you look at it, it's actually, something by the party to try to get some of its aspirants, especially at that level, to be able to say, look, hey, this is what I'm going to pay, so that at least the party can move, because we have a lot of things to do. We have ward elections to do, we have senatorial elections, we have primaries, we have logistics requirements and all that, and we can't go and raid a bank. We can't go and raid. We can't go and be corrupt. Nobody. PRP is not a corrupt party. We don't. We're not out there to make things difficult for us. But at the same time, we also want people to appreciate what the party. It's a platform. Help the platform to grow, and then you can also grow. So when you ask presidential aspirants to pay 10 million, it is way lower than a party that asks for presidential aspirants to pay 100 million. Now, you have to look at PRP and what its finances are and be able to understand why it has to ask.
And if I may add, yes. Senator Toby, People's Redemption Party's nomination form for House of Assembly is just 100,000.
Okay. At the state level.
State level, House of Assembly.
400,000 PDP.
I don't want to mention them. You already know what they are.
Yes.
What they are charging.
I mean that for PDP, it can be said that if PDP is charging 400,000 and PRP is charging 100,000, I, as a potential candidate or aspirant who doesn't belong to any party at this moment, why I might feel that of the PDP provides higher chances and for just a slightly higher cost.
With the new electoral law, we believe a lot of sanctity has been brought into our electoral process.
Okay.
We believe also, of course today there is nothing called local government. The closest to people today in Nigeria in government is House of Assembly. And that is not a constituency you will want to monetize. That is not a constituency you will want to ask for. 400,000 for what?
Certainly.
Just to hold the ticket of a party as a qualification for a place to serve your people. We also believe that 100,000 is not out of place, that people could come together. We believe in this person. And not necessarily saying, go and pay it for yourself. This is one of the challenges we have in our politics. We have a politics of where one money bag does all the payment, pays all the bills, and put everybody down just like a grand troop. It may interest you to note that the last national delegates, the last national convention of the PRP on the 2nd of April, we did not give a dime to people to sponsor themselves to that place and to spend 2 nights in Abuja. All the records you saw, everything on air, everything you saw at Chida Hotel, on 2nd April, nobody was paid to be there. This is where the politics of this country should go, where people take from their own resources to pick their leaders.
Absolutely.
I mean, nobody will come to Abuja to come and vote for me.
Absolutely.
With their own resources if they don't believe in what I have done. Nobody will trust the national chairman. Nobody will trust any member of the executive at the roles from the zones, through the states, rather, to the zones, and then to come to the national level when you are the one paying for them. No, they will choose who they wanted, and they choose us. And we are duty-bound to represent them. So what I'm trying to say is that people should own their government. People should own what they have. Rep in PRP is 250,000. Senate is 1.5. Governorship is 2.5. In fact, someone came to the office and was asking to verify whether it is true that governorship nomination form will be 2.5. I said, that is the amount. He said, is that possible in Nigeria? But that is the amount. Our circular is out. The guideline is there. When it comes to presidential election, 10 million naira for someone who wants to govern Nigeria, who wants to lead this country. One of the qualifications to being a PRP leader, you must have a job. You must have a business. Malam Balarabe in his days told me, he said, in fact, the first lecture he gave, he said to be a PRP member, you must be able to fend for yourself. You must be able to fend for your family. And if you have anything left you want to support the party with, but the party is after you being a responsible citizen, support the party with. We feel someone who has his job, someone who has his business, who probably have employed others and everything, should be able, with his clout, with his friends, with his family members, party members everywhere, be able to raise 10 million naira with which to help the party to fund the processes of election and primaries across the country. You know it's now 3. You are either going direct, you are going indirect. Of course, we are going indirect, or you are going a consensus.
Thank you. I was actually going to start talking about the primaries, particularly the presidential primaries, and then the National Assembly primaries and the governorship primaries across the states, where you may be stronger in some states than others, practically speaking. But that was when we come back on a short break. Thank you for staying with us. So far, we've been discussing about what third parties can do, or in particular, what the PRP can do in the coming elections. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and we're discussing what third parties can do to turn things around, not just for themselves, but for Nigeria in the coming 2023 elections. But tonight, we're focusing on the People's Redemption Party, PDP. So, as I was saying, PRP, thank you. Pardon me for that serious mistake. So, maybe it's also because the PDP is more well-known than the PRP. That's why a political reporter like myself would mistake one for the other.
The PDP is not more known than the PRP.
Okay.
PRP, this is a political party that has been registered since 1978. Yes, military incursion, deregistration. The party was deregistered in 2012 and reinstated in 2015, December 15 specifically. And since 2015, PRP begins to put itself together. You know, when you deregister a political party, you scatter it. But this is a party that has formed government. In the old Kano state, now Jigawa and Kano, and in the old Kaduna state, now Katsina and Kaduna. And the records are there. In the days of Balarabe in Kaduna and in the days of Rimi in Kano, those records are still there today to be beaten.
That takes me clearly to what I was going to ask. Do you see the PRP, you know, repeating the successes of those yesteryears of Governor Balarabe Musa and then Abubakar Rimi of Kano, of Kaduna? Do you see that happening again?
I think I would love to answer that question.
Please, go ahead.
Because when you have a platform that has not changed, the constitution of the PRP, the principles, the 5 principles of the PRP really had not changed. Is it the value or equality of human being? It has not changed. In fact, daily, we lack it more in this country. Is it the power of the people? Daily, we lack it more. Are you talking about federalism in this country? Do you have true federalism? We don't have it. Do you have, is this nation controlling its economy in such a way that external forces are not tilting things away and making the elite richer and making the poor poorer? Do you have a situation in this country where imperialism hadn't taken over everything? These 5 basic principles of PRP had not changed. These are the things these men worked with then, and it's still on now. In fact, we need it more than ever before. So to say that, will PRP repeat what it did before? Nigerians should just watch out. PRP will do much more. PRP will engage much more technology. That one was not much in our papers in the old, but they are now there. In fact, I dare say that PRP candidates really don't have manifesto. It's already there. We have 3 papers put to one, and the Constitution defined them together. The principles,
the programs, and the constitution of the PRP. The three are one. This is what we have. It has not changed. The service we want to provide that Balarabe gave, that Rimi gave in their government is still the same thing we want to give Nigeria, where you don't need to work and watch your shoulders. Where I, from Southwest or Southeast or wherever, do not need to feel I am not a Nigerian if I am the Northwest. Yes. It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed.
Very powerful speech on behalf of, I'm well spoken like a politician. So
we are simply telling what we are.
Okay, good. So the other thing, senatorial aspirant, is that if the values of the party, the cardinal principles of the party, the ideology of the party, if it has not changed, then what has changed? Why is it not able to make the same impact among the electorate in terms of followership, in terms of support during elections like it did before? So is it that the current personnel, the people in the party now, or is it that the ideologies have been overtaken by other events? So what's happening?
No, as my national secretary has said, this is a solid party. Okay. It's a consistent party. It has been what it is. It has not changed colors. It has not been chameleonic or leopardic. It has been PRP. And we know what PRP stands for. Everybody, you wake up, anybody, any child in the street, anybody, what is PRP? They know us, the principles. And let me tell you, you're wrong. You're wrong. The successes that President Muhammadu Buhari achieved today is actually PRP successes. He's wearing PRP. He's actually a beneficiary of the PRP. The 12 million votes, 12 million votes that Buhari calls on are actually votes of PRP-minded supporters. And they are looking for a Malam Aminu Kano figure. And that's why they transferred it to Buhari. That's not to say that they neglected PRP, their mother party. No. But you see, because at some point, because when we started the political...
You're saying that over the years, the PRP has not been able to produce a Malam Aminu Kano.
I told you PRP was deregistered. Political parties were abolished, military came in and on board, and even after political events, political parties were allowed to operate, PRP was deregistered. And it was only in 2015 PRP was restated, even through the declaration of the court. And it was from that 2015 the PRP started again the journey of letting Nigerians even know that PRP is still alive. Look at it, a party that was created in 1978. How many people were born that time? Even me, I was still a child.
Yes.
So most of our youth population are not even aware that this party is alive. And of course, we are not a party that has stolen the welfare of the people and using it to campaign. Like you said, one is more popular than the PRP. What are they popular at? At brigandage? Popular at election rigging? Popular at insecurity? Yes, they are popular, but what are they popular at? Vices. Things you should not mention with a community of human beings. Things you should find in fact, among the animals, there is decorum. This is what you find among these people. And then everybody say they are popular, they are popular, they are popular. What are they popular at? The nation is looking for leaders. And in the absence of the PRP, everybody felt as of 2011 when the APC came into government. Everybody felt, oh, this is a messiah. What do we have today in Nigeria? We don't want to go into all that. But you and I know today. Will you jump out today and drive towards Kaduna? Will you head to Casino? Will you head to Bauchi? Will you go to Jigawa? Even aspirants that want to come to the National Secretariat to pick paper, they are afraid. And we are looking for a way to make things easier and to ensure that their forms get to them. How do you even do primaries under insecurity? These are the issues. And who are the manufacturers of what we are today? These are people that this nation, as at the time they felt PRP was not in place, reposed confidence in, and they failed us.
Interesting. So let's go to the presidential primaries now, specifically. So far, at least one person has declared their interest, and not just one person, but an interesting and fascinating figure. Someone whose father actually won a presidential election here in Nigeria. So what does that say about what does it say about the chances of the PRP in the coming elections?
The chances are very bright. In fact, they have never been brighter than now, because the flight of fancy that Nigerians have taken with the PDP and the APC has gone now, has worn off now. Now the reality is dawning on Nigerians that look, we need to go back to the basics, and PRP is the basics. PRP has been resilient. Since 1978, it has stuck to its ideology. We used to think that, oh, no, this and that, and that these parties are going to be modern and all that. Now, look at what they've brought us to. Look at the sorry past that they brought us to. People realize that we need to get back to the politics of values, politics of ideology, politics driven by ideas, by principles. And the PRP is head and shoulders above everybody. That is why in their search for a renewal, for a renaissance in Nigeria, PRP is there. And that's why PRP, is the party to beat. Because at the end of the day, we are looking for quality leadership, quality representation. People will not tell lies to you. People will not ask you to pay 100 million just because you want to lead them. This is what PRP is going to be.
But if they ask you to pay 10 million, that's fair, because the 10 million justifies the 100 million. If a party like PRP is demanding for 10 million, that's in a way a justification for
it doesn't.
the APC.
It doesn't. There are two different scenarios. I mean, 100 million in this country today will make a lot of difference to a whole community of people.
Some people will say 10, so it's 10 million.
No,
but let's move beyond that.
If I may even add,
okay.
For example, one of the things Chief Kola Abiola said is that it will be 30 years now, June 12th. And that making an entry into the political space, he'd search around. And the only party that he could find truly to still hold their toes that shows that this is for people is PRP. And that's the reason. Although he's not the only aspirant, there are others that have. If a woman still picked ticket today, still picked the nomination form rather of the PRP. Meanwhile, women in PRP pay just 50%. I might not be able to mention them now because of other aspirants, so that the delegates will not be misled. So he's not the only one. But I'm referring to what he said, that he searched around. He made diligent search. He's gone into history. He had looked at everything and felt the only political party left, both in practice till today, both in their activities, the way they go about things, that is pro-people, pro-masses, is PRP. And come to think of it, when you are talking about 100 million and a 10 million, that's a simple question today at a press engagement. This man that is going to pay 100 million to pick a ticket or attempting, is an attempt. One said the day before yesterday that he wants to be a standby on 100 million. Who was he before he became governor? Could he afford that money? How many youths of this country are in their employment? How many organizations have they floated that has employed people and is still running? My brother, don't you know what 100 million can do in this country today? And somebody say, come and use 1 million to play joke. And you say, I am ready. Who are these people? Where did they get this money from? Well, PRP government, everybody should watch out. Things definitely will be different. And when you look at something, I kept telling people, for example, apologies to the faith people. If I am a Muslim and he's a Christian, there is something you watch out for in the way we do things. One is prayer. The way the Muslims pray is different from the way the Christians pray. The way they act as in time of prayer is in fact, when they are praying, there are activities they put up that differs. This is what principle stands for. Ideology is like your faith. It defines what I should expect from you. It defines you. If I am a Muslim and you suddenly find me praying like a Christian, either somebody has converted me into a Christian or I've gone crazy. It should either be those two. The question is this: what should you expect when you see these people in power? We don't know. There is no agreement between them and the people done. Oh, we will do road, cut the crap. We will give you free education. In fact, the other day somebody said, I will give free education from primary school to university. Just the same way they told us that the youth of Nigeria will be paid 5,000 naira every month. I am sure youths outside there, you have been receiving it. Go.
So that's quite interesting. But what about other, like you mentioned, Chief Kola Abiola is not the only candidate. About 2-3 years ago, the former INEC chairman, Professor Atairu Jega, he, it was widely in the news that he has joined the PRP. So I suppose he's still a PRP.
He is the, Prof is not all these people.
Okay.
Prof is a
so
committed member of the
presidential
PRP.
race too. What might that mean for your party and for the 2023 elections?
Moderator,
Maybe,
sorry.
okay.
Sorry, Senator. You've asked Senator to be. You've asked the question before. In fairness to everybody that is picking picking forms now, we will not be mentioning the names of people that has paid and that has collected form. In fairness to if you want to come to equity, you come with a clean hand. I am the National Secretary of the People's Redemption Party. I should not be mentioning this person has collected. I'm misleading the delegates. It's not okay. That is still an internal affair.
It's a public one. It's an election. It's not.
They should show Nigerians like the woman of today. Like the woman of today picked her form.
It's not a papal conclave that is done in secret.
No.
It's an election. People have to know that this man has bought the form. He wants to be president.
You mentioned Professor Atairu Jega.
Platform, yes.
Is a committed leader in PRP. I'll give you an example.
Has he paid for the forms?
Professor Atairu Jega will tell you that.
Okay.
All the aspirants are showing the press. As they pick their form, they show the press.
On their own.
The party, when we have a candidate, then I will sit here and allow the person's name. And not until one has become the candidate of the party. They are still all aspirants now. And we should provide a level playing ground for all.
And you cannot promote one above the other.
It will not be just.
That's interesting.
And
That's,
in any case,
that's a new thing about PRP.
and in any case, it's better to respect the privacy because it's a personal thing at this moment. It is when all the process has been completed and we have the duly, listed
Elected
names,
candidate.
Yeah, then we can now say this are this. But as he said, they are now.
But that itself, is that a PRP way of doing things? And, of not trying to do equity with clean hands, like you said, without declaring to the media by a party official like the National Secretary that ABCD have purchased the forms because it will weigh the delegates one way or another. Is that a PRP way?
There are 7 aspirants presently as we speak.
All of them have bought the forms.
I have told you I won't. I know you press people. What you want is what you want.
Yes.
But this is how PRP does its things.
Okay.
And I should help you know it and realize it.
Thank you.
Another official of PRP may be here tomorrow. I can bet you this is what you will find. As long as it sways things in favor of one against the other, it is not the correct thing to do. And we wouldn't want to do it.
Interesting. So let's go beyond that. Let's look at the governorship races across some states. When PRP was strong in the 1980s, during the Second Republic, it had even Chinua Achebe was vice presidential candidate at a time. I don't know how many people.
First a member, a leader in the party, and then before he attempted to contest.
But more importantly, you actually formed governments across many states. You formed even state legislatures. For example, in Kano, whereas you didn't have a large number in Kaduna, you did in Kano. So Rimi was able to finish his own term in a way that Balarabe Musa was not able to. Now, are you targeting specific states where the PRP tradition is still deeply rooted in local elections, or what are your strategy? Are you trying to conquer the whole country, or you say, okay, given that we're just starting again from 2015, let us focus on 1 or 2 places?
No, I think PRP is an inclusive party to start with. It's a party that cuts across, the whole length and breadth of the country. And, its membership also reflects the
774 local governments.
The 774 local governments. Now, because it doesn't make noise, it doesn't mean that it's just it's not a party to record.
Politics is a game of noise.
But you see, sometimes discretion is a better part of valor.
Okay.
You don't come out and say, especially when you are in the planning and strategic stages, because what we see now, what we are enjoying, and when we're seeing and where we're being entertained now with are the foil foibles of the two political parties. And I enjoy it myself because I see two political parties that have sold the Dobby to Nigerians, and they're in the process of trying to, self-destruct. So we like to see that. I would rather want to join that while we do our own, underground activities. So, let them continue to entertain us with their deceit and their self-destruction mode. We are just doing our game. At the end of the day, when they have outspent themselves, lasted themselves, we will pick up the pieces because we are poised, as the National Secretary is saying, he's giving you what we're doing on ground to make sure that all the bits and pieces of those parties they fall to us, and we get back to where we are. Because we've been in government before, we know what government is, we've delivered. I mean, whatever anybody can say, Kano and Kaduna states in those days during the PRP administration were two of the most
best governed states in the country, actually.
So I think our time is up. So maybe, hopefully, this that you are saying, at the end of the elections, we will have you here again to make a recount of the.
You can be sure of that. I'll be sitting down here. You'll be interviewing me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tunde Ali, National Secretary of the People's Redemption Party (PRP).
Thank you.
Thank you also, Mala Ilyasu Gadu, senatorial aspirant of the PRP in Taraba South constituency.
By this time next year, you'll be interviewing me as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
We will love that. We'll be here to report that. Thank you also, viewers, for staying with us. This is where we draw a curtain on today's program. Stay with us when we meet again tomorrow on another edition of Daily Politics. My name is Suleiman Suleiman. Goodbye.